Hi, I'm Flo from Wildchain, and today I want to share a game that completely changed the way how I see art in games. The game is called Pentiment, and it's a narrative-driven adventure game with elements of a murder mystery or a whodunit. And your choices in the game shape the game as you explore and solve mysteries in a beautiful 16th century world. The game isn't just beautiful, it's almost a masterclass how visuals can bring a story to life. And through playing it, I've also learned 7 key lessons about how art styles can help shape and elevate a game's experience, and that I would like to share with you. So let's dive in. Let's start with the basics. So what is an art style actually? It's more than just how a game looks. It's the entire visual experience. It's of course the design of the characters, it's how the environments look, it's the feel of the animation, and it's even the UI, how is the UI style, the menus, the buttons, all these things. It's what ties everything together and makes a game feel cohesive. And in Pentiment, the art style is more than just decoration. It's really pulls you into a world inspired by the 16th century. And the moment you start playing, you almost feel like you're flipping through the pages of a medieval book. And that's the power of a good art style. So what makes Pentiment's art style so captivating? Let's break it down. First, the game's visuals are inspired by illuminated manuscripts. So those are those beautifully hand-painted medieval books with ornate borders, with beautiful characters, with these elaborate capital letters in the text. And this influence gives Pentiment a really interesting two-dimensional look, as if every scene has been basically hand painted. And the art style is also heavily influenced by woodcut prints and from the Renaissance era. So the characters have very strong outlines, they have bold colors, but also simplified shapes. And so the characters in the game really feel like they are pulled from a woodcut piece. But it's not only about the visuals. Let's also talk about the text, because in Pentiment, the typography plays a massive role. The dialogue isn't just text, but each piece of the dialogue is written in a way that it reflects the speaker's status and profession. So for example, there's a more refined script for monks and a simpler handwriting for commoners. So sometimes the text even evolves as a character corrects their words, and then it mimics how a scribe would adjust while writing by hand. And this subtle touch makes the text itself really part of the story, and it adds a layer of immersion and authenticity that's rare to see in games. So what Pentiment sets really apart is also their commitment to historical accuracy. So the development team didn't just aim for a random medieval look. They actually studied and researched the 16th century art, the culture, the typography in detail. And they even worked with historians to get the little things right. So from the way people walked back then to the way people spoke. And that attention to detail really elevates the experience and making that world feel really authentic. Another thing that I noticed in Pentiment is that the art style and the gameplay go hand in hand. The manuscript-inspired art style pairs perfectly with the game's slower-paced, dialogue-heavy mechanisms. And the art style really invites you to take your time to explore the world and to uncover its mysteries, and that really enhances the feeling of being part of a living storybook. Choosing the right art style is not just about what looks good, it's also about what is achievable. Pentiment may have the look and feel of an indie game, but it's actually produced by a major studio. However, it was developed by a smaller team within the company, and they also had to work with a limited production timeline and resources, much like an indie project. So by choosing these 2D visuals, they are not only true to the theme of the game, but it was also manageable for the team. And those visuals really allowed for detailed, authentic visuals without the complexity of a full 3D model or high-end rendering. Of course, finding the perfect art style is a process. That's why playtesting the art style and gathering feedback are so important in the process. For Pentiment, that also meant that they had to refine how the visuals and the story elements work together. They had to overcome some limitations of 2D. For example, they had to decide whether a character should shrink as they walk into the background, or just to let them move diagonally upward to create depth. But the result of the play testing was a polished, cohesive art style that fits both the game's theme and the gameplay. So what can we learn from Pentiment about choosing an art style for a game? So here are 7 of my key takeaways. So number 1 is to match the art style to the theme and the tone of the game. So the visuals of the game should really reflect the game's emotions and the atmosphere of the game. Number 2 is to align the art style with the game mechanics. So the art style can actually support how the game is played. Number 3 is to understand your target audience. So they chose an art style that really very much looks like an indie game art style. And I think they knew that indie game players will be interested in this type of game. Number 4 is that the art style can reinforce world building and storytelling in the game. Every small visual detail can actually help you to build on the lore and the world of your game. Number 5 is to balance constraints. So the art style needs to be manageable for the team's capabilities and the resources they have. Number 6 is the most difficult one. It's to stand out and really create your own identity. So a unique art style makes the game memorable. And I think Pentiment has such a strong, recognizable identity. They did an amazing job. And my last point is to play test and iterate. I think that's a very important step, and only that way you can achieve a really cohesive art style. So there you have it. Let me know in the comments which game's art style impressed you the most. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.